Hello. A few things I should clarify. First of all, the left side of my face has been numbed. You could just punch the shit out of me right here, and I probably wouldn't even feel it. You might knock out my teeth because I've got some weak, defenseless teeth right now. Um, but that is why I might sound like this, and in some cases it might be why I don't know my mouth looks a little bit slow or disabled or whatever you want to call it. Also, number two, my room is a fucking mess. Yes, I am going to clean it tomorrow, for sure, definitely. Yeah. Number three, if you want to know when I'm going to do the preseason impressions that I always do every season, I'm going to do that on Friday, but not here. I'm going to do this on twitch.tv/Mozilla underscore Fennekin. I'm going to do it live, so you are welcome to join. It will be at 9 a.m. Central Time, which is my time zone. If it's not your time zone, figure out what time zone it is for you. And yeah, I'm going to do the thing that I always do. And then later on, I will post a slightly edited version on YouTube. By slightly edited, I mean I'm basically just taking out the parts where I'm watching trailers and stuff because I will get copyright stricken by YouTube. And number four, I just watched this movie called Goodbye Don Glees. It is a movie by or directed by Atsuko Ishizuka. I think that's her name. She is the director of No Game No Life and A Place Further Than the Universe, most notably. And that's very important to me because Soryori is my second favorite anime of all time. That is a very important distinction to make because at number one, you have Steins Gate, which is never going to go away. And number two is Soryori, which is also never going to go away. Beyond that, there is no like clear, definitive number three for me. It could be Konosuba, could be Kaguya-sama, could be Nichijou, could be Pokemon Sun and Moon. Nowadays, Made in Abyss has been super impressive, and I love that. Lots of things are fighting for like the number three spot. The top two are immovable to me, and Soryori is in that realm of immovable peak fiction to me. And I really need to explain that because that's not something that I ever expected to happen again in my entire life. Even in 2018, which was a few years ago at this point, I did not think that a brand new piece of media could move me in the way that Soryori did. And I don't want to sound close-minded when I say that. It's not as if I think that it's all downhill from here, as they might say. Because again, like the stuff that I just mentioned, that's like in my top five or whatever, all came out within after Soryori, or most of it came out after Soryori, or some of it did. And so it's not like this isn't a thing that bothers me. It's just that like Steins Gate is my number one favorite anime, not only because I love it so much, but also because it has been my favorite for so long. Like it has shaped me as a person in a way that is probably impossible for a brand new thing to ever do. That's also why the World Ends with You is my number one all time favorite piece of media because there is just no way anything is going to inspire me the way that The World Ends with You has for the last 10 years of my life. And I, feel the need to talk about Soryori because I'm going to be comparing it to Goodbye Don Glees a lot. Not that I wanted to go into this movie thinking, oh, it's going to be Soryori again. Because people can do all kinds of different things. Just because someone did one thing that I really like, that doesn't mean that I need them to do that again. However, I did kind of hear that it was kind of like Soryori. I think Ember posted on Twitter that it was like a condensed Soryori. I haven't seen his video on it, but I feel like that's what he said. And then I also saw there was like this promotional internet video that they posted, and it was literally the voice actresses of Soryori reacting to a trailer of Goodbye Don Glees as the characters of Soryori. It was like an ad, just calling back to Soryori. It's like, hey, look, Soryori reunion kind of, and it's like, oh yeah, the person because obviously they were like, hey, the person who made Soryori is making this new movie because it's not like Soryori came out and no one cared. That has actually become one of the most successful and highly acclaimed original anime of the last 10 years. So obviously this is a big deal. But still, they definitely want you to keep in mind that these people made Soryori. So I did kind of go in thinking, okay, probably going to get some Soryori vibes from this, and that is very much what happened. Saying that this is a condensed Soryori is actually pretty accurate. That is exactly how I feel. More specifically, the way I felt about Goodbye Don Glees is how some people felt about Soryori when that came out. Basically, the criticisms that I heard of Soryori, they didn't necessarily affect me, but I could kind of see what they were saying. And with Goodbye Don Glees, it's like, okay, this is what these people were saying. It's kind of like if you didn't like Soryori, I guess. This movie would be the exact reason why. Because some things that I heard about Soryori is that, like, the thing with Soryori, like this is either a good thing or a bad thing depending on who you are and how you see it, but every episode of that anime would have this huge emotional catharsis at the end of every episode. Did I say at the end of every episode twice in that sentence? I'm sorry. But what I mean is, like, every single episode of Soryori was like an entire season worth of character drama and emotional weight and payoff. So like every episode you're getting this huge emotional scene where they're playing this emotional uplifting music. Characters are all emotional and shit. They're either, you know, really really spirited or they're crying and stuff like that. And it's like, it's really big. It's very very weighty. There's a lot of emotional weight in this series. And again, some people thought that was kind of obnoxious. Some people were just kind of like, oh my god, every fucking episode they have to play this one insert song and the characters all start crying. Which, again, that doesn't bother me, but I could understand why someone would say that. There's maybe an element of characters saying something like a little, like, characters having a tendency to say just the right things at just the right moments, which that really bothers me even less, because it's like, in any scripted series that is going to happen, it's going to feel like it's placed a little too perfectly. Well, I mean, again, I understand why people would say that about Soryori, and I'm not like discarding these opinions. They just didn't apply to me. I love that anime a lot. But watching Goodbye Don Glees, it's like, okay, this is like what the more critical people were saying about Soryori, because it does feel like it has these emotional payoffs that happen a little too quickly, and everyone kind of has the right thing to say at just the right moment. Or specifically, like, there's one character who says everything perfectly at the right moment, if that makes sense. It's like every single scene, he'll say something, and it's like, it's the perfect line. He'll have, like, this one line that reveals something about another character. It's like, oh, you actually are like this and want to do this, or something like that. Or just make some general statement about things, how people are, and things like that. That just seems, again, very very it's very very thoughtful. Like, it's not as if it's dumb. It's not even like I'm 13 and this is deep material, because it's stuff that I think is still relatable for anyone, and I think it's smart. But again, it's maybe a little bit too convenient. And like I said, it's a very condensed sort of story. Like I say, it's a condensed Soryori, but it's like, it does feel like a lot. Not even that a lot happens in this movie, but basically it goes through these emotional character arcs very very suddenly, where, like, basically a TLDR of this movie is that these characters just kind of meet each other, and within one day they're like immovable, impenetrable best friends forever, and they're all like, you know, crying over their lives and shit like that, which again isn't necessarily an issue in and of itself. But like, what I thought was great about Soryori is that even though you would get these huge payoffs within and character arcs within one episode, it still felt very, very well paced. Like I never actually felt that Soryori moved too quickly, or that it solved conflicts too quickly. Everything worked. Whereas in Goodbye Don Glees, it's like characters would fight in one scene, and then next scene it's like everyone is just perfectly, like, nothing's wrong with anything. Everyone's totally made up, and it's all good, and they're all like, like everyone would die for each other. They're so close together. These characters all get so close to each other so quickly, and it does kind of make you think that it goes by a little too quickly, because again, most of this movie takes place over the course of 1 day or 2 days. It's very, very fast. But yeah, it's almost like an anti-Soryori in a way. One aspect of it, where in that, because one of the conflicts of this movie, I guess, is that it's this group of three boys. Two of them have been, friends forever, but then one moved away to Tokyo, and in the time that he was gone, this other guy kind of became friends with the main character. So now it's supposed to be this group of three, but the guy who moved away hasn't actually met this third person yet. So he comes back, and now, it's going to be the three of them doing stuff together, but this guy is like, he's questioning the new guy. He's like, he's asking the main character, he's like, are you really sure about this guy? He seems kind of he seems a little sussy to me. I don't know if I really trust this guy. And then within 2 days, it's just like he would die for this person. Like, he's so close to him and he's so attached to him. And it's like, meanwhile in Soryori, again, something that made it really, really believable is that the first few episodes take place over the course of a few weeks or something. And then you get this character who joins the cast. It starts off with two girls, and then a third one joins, and then a fourth one joins, and she's a little distant from everyone else because, again, she just met everyone, and she's like, oh, I wish I was like you three who are all so close and you're such great friends. And then they look at each other and they're like, are we really friends? I mean, like, we're just trying to do something together. Like, we just have this shared interest. We're not really that close to each other. And that's just that is what made Soryori so real and so great to me. Whereas, again, in Goodbye Don Glees, they go from, like, strangers to best buds in, like, 48 hours. And it's a little bit extreme, I think. There's also this element of who cares to it at the end of the day that I just kind of couldn't really shake away, where the whole movie is, it just starts off with these three guys doing stuff. And it's like, it doesn't really matter. They're like, and it's just like innocent, childlike. I mean, they're not children. They're like, they're teenagers. They're 15 and 16 years old. Right. So they're just like messing around. They live in a small town. There are these dudes who are bullying the main character because he works on a farm, and that's so uncool and stuff. So they kind of have this scheme where they get back at them. It's actually really, really fucking funny. They all three of them dress up, or rather, the main character is like, he's like, he looks all sleek. He puts on a suit. He does his hair, and it looks really nice. And he's like carrying this fancy bag behind him. And then and then next to him are his two friends who are dressed up as these giant-titted model girls, and it's just fucking hilarious. They play like this hype music, and the way it's shot is so slow and dramatic. And all the other characters in the scene are just like, what the fuck is going on? And it's really funny. And that's great. So it's like fun stuff, right? But then they set off fireworks because in the town there's like whatever they do, like a summer festival. Yeah, that's what it is. They're just having a summer festival. They're going to have some fireworks. So these guys, they do their own thing. They get their own fireworks and they light them off on a field. Turns out the fireworks don't work at all. They light all the fuses. They don't work whatsoever. So they're like, oh, well, we're fucking lame and we suck. So they just leave, go off to, join the summer festival like normal people. But then turns out Fire trucks start coming in. There's a forest fire in the area. Now suddenly it's really dangerous. Fortunately, nothing really happens because it rains, but you know, it's on the news that like there are these fireworks left behind, and then you get this gossip within the school that the main characters are attending and stuff, and it's like, oh, it was those Don Glees, it was those kids who did it. And so what they have to do is they have to prove their innocence, which the only way they can really do that is by finding this drone, because they bought a drone and they were trying to film their own fireworks display, but the drone like was a piece of shit and it just like malfunctioned and then like disappeared somewhere. So it disappeared like 60 miles away, and they got to go find it now. So it basically becomes this road trip anime with these three, you know, wackos, and they learn and discover stuff about themselves and each other, and it's like fun and all that, which is not a bad plot or anything. But the thing is, like, there's no way of actually proving that they are the reason why the fire started, and like if the whole thing was about them like actually trying to avoid danger, like, because they are thinking like, oh shit, like if we're held responsible for this, we could be like in legitimate trouble. We almost burned down the fucking town, dude. Which, you know, yeah, is really messed up. So they have to go get this drone, but then there's no real actual conflict or resolution to it, because it's like they get back and they don't find any footage of the drone that proves their innocence or anything, but they get back and nothing happens. Like, no one cares. No, like, there was gossip about them having done it, but no one actually like calls them out. So it's not like anybody's, you know, it's not like the police come looking for them or anything like that. It's just like nothing happens whatsoever. And then at the end, that same gossip group is like, oh, that forest fire or whatever, did that actually happen? Yeah, I can't remember a thing about it. Like, everyone in the world just completely forgets about it. So it's like, all right, so this whole thing was pointless, I guess. Which, in and of itself, that could be the message, where it's like, it doesn't really matter if what you're doing has a point to it, as long as you're just spending quality time with people and something like that. Which is, again, fine, but at the same time, it's like, I don't really care that much, and I don't really care about these characters that much, to be completely honest. Like, they're alright. Like, they're kind of funny, and they're alright. Like, they're alright characters, but they're not ones that I was, like, really rooting for and really excited. And I really wanted to see them settle this conflict and all that. It was just, I don't know. And then the third guy, who, you know, like the new kid in the group, is like some, like he's funny but at the same time annoying. And again, this is where I have to like think of the people who were criticizing Sora Yori, like the people who would criticize my favorite character, which was Hinata Miyake. Like people would say that she would say things that were like too perfect. Like, she would always have the right thing to say at the right time. And that is exactly what this guy was. Like, he said everything perfectly at the right. It's like this kid's 15 and it's like he's some walking philosopher who has everything in the entire world figured out. Every sort of emotional conflict that everyone has, he understands it and he knows exactly what to do. And it's like, you know, with him, I'm just like, it's a little much. And then there's this sort of thing where it's like, it's implied that he's going to die very soon, but no one ever says how or why, and it's like, I don't know, that's it. But yeah, I will say that there is a sort of twist at the end of the movie that I kind of thought was pretty clever, and I didn't think about it at all. So when they revealed it, I'm like, oh, wow. That was interesting. Okay. Still doesn't matter too much. That said, like, I'm kind of being critical and I guess cynical about it, but it's not like I disliked this movie. This movie was fun. Like, it was fun. Had a good sense of humor. The characters were likable. I enjoyed it. Overall, I enjoyed it. But again, it does have that sense of like, it's a lot happening in not enough time. You know, character arcs settle very character arcs conclude very, very quickly. Character development happens very, very quickly. And you know that thing with, when people would, either compliment or criticize Soryori for having insert songs at the end of every episode, that's like Goodbye Don Glees every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, there's like some insert song happening with something emotional happening, or montages. There were lots of montages in this movie, which were fine, but I don't know if there's anything else I really need to say. It was like all right. Like the whole movie was all right. It was pretty fun. I guess I'm glad I went to see it. I just hope next time, maybe next time Ishizuka could go outside of her comfort zone and do something truly different. Because like again, I do think that this is a very, very good director, and I didn't expect her to do like anything as good as Soryori, and I'm not like asking her to or anything. Just do something different. That's all I'm saying. Or even if she wants to go back to No Game No Life. If No Game No Life ever fucking comes back, yeah, why not? Because that's another good anime that I like. But yeah, this movie was just all right. It was fun, and I enjoyed it, but it made me miss Soryori. It made me really, really miss Soryori. Like, I'm glad that they haven't milked that franchise and just like made more of it, because it wouldn't make sense to make more of it. But at the same time, I'm like, I want to see those girls again. I want to see if they're still all right. I want to know if the girls are still all right. That would be great. But yeah, Goodbye Don Glees. It was a fun movie, I guess. It was all right.